Welcome back to TechniqueWOD. Today we're talking about building torso, core, and shoulder stability with kettlebell windmills. Okay, a kettlebell windmill looks like this. You're gonna press overhead, lock an elbow, straight wrist. I'm gonna set my feet 90 degrees to each other, look up at the kettlebell, and basically go down and touch right in front of my foot, still arm locked out, back relatively straight. I'm hinging at the hip, even though I'm kind of hinging to the side, so to speak, depending on which hip you're looking at. Just like that, okay? There's many different, subtle distinctions and variations that you can use to get to a full kettlebell windmill, because you actually need quite a bit of flexibility, especially on this front leg. If my knee is locked out, then I'm bending over with a locked out knee. I have to be pretty flexible to be in this position, okay? Because that position is basically me being like right here. That's a lot of hamstring flexibility. That's a lot of hip mobility for most people. So that oftentimes is one of the tougher pieces of doing kettlebell windmills, is just having enough hamstring flexibility, enough hip mobility to get into a proper position all the way at the bottom. Okay? So that said, there's a series of things you can do to work your way up to a full kettlebell windmill. The easier ones is like this. If I step forward and then I kind of externally rotate my back leg, I'm in the similar position without that straight leg to run into as far as my hamstrings limiting my mobility. So now I can be here and I can just go down, same exact pattern with now a bent knee in front of me, touch my hand and come back up. So I'm just limiting the range of motion in a lot of ways, and then I'm taking my hamstring out of the equation, so to speak. I can do the same thing and go down to a bent elbow. So I'm here, again, adding range of motion, but taking my hamstrings out of the equation, just like that. And then if I want to, also, of course, I can just go down to wherever my hamstrings limit me. If I can't bend any further than this without getting a really deep hamstring stretch, I can just do partial reps, or of course I can just bend my front leg a little bit and kind of go like that. Having that bent front knee makes it where I can go all the way down and touch the ground. Okay. So of course, holding that kettlebell or dumbbell or even a barbell if you want to overhead, there's a lot of shoulder stability involved with keeping your elbow locked out and keeping your arm fully vertical and not being shaky and wobbly and all that. So great for your shoulder, great for your rotator cuff, etc. For your core torso area, I'm bending to the side. So just like when I do a good morning, I'm putting a lot of stress on my spinal erectors to keep my spine nice and straight. When I'm doing a kettlebell windmill, I'm kind of bending to the side. I'm keeping as straight of a spine as I possibly can. The more hip mobility I have, the more likely it is that I'm actually going to have a straight spine. A lot of people, their hip stops and then they bend over too much. They round with their spine excessively, and that can cause back problems over time. So you want to stay nice and straight, arms overhead. I'm kind of pushing my hip back as I bend over. I'm keeping a nice straight spine, and then all these muscles on the side, in an effort to keep me from rounding over, are contracting. They're getting a lot of tension put on them. If you've never done kettlebell windmills before, you're quite likely to get very, very sore on your sides, especially the first time that you do it. Okay? If you want to add some extra weight, of course you can always just hold a heavier kettlebell overhead. However, if you're a person that you, for whatever reason, can't hold any more weight overhead, but you feel like you probably could bend to the side and do the movement with more weight, you can put a kettlebell in each hand. So if I'm here and I have one kettlebell up here, one kettlebell is just hanging, I can still do the same thing. I'm here. In this case, the kettlebell adds some length to my arm, so to speak, and so I run to the ground a little bit early. So it cuts the range of motion a little bit short, but it is a little bit heavier, which feels good. If you want to make it where you can still get the same range of motion, you can always just go stand on a couple of plates or whatever it is. Press up, and get a longer range of motion. And of course, you can stand on a plate, stack them as high as you feel like you need to. So I like that for a lot of reasons, but mostly for the shoulder stability and core stability reasons. As far as programming goes, very similar to Turkish get-ups. My preference for windmills specifically is to do high sets, low reps. So I'd much rather do like 6 sets of heavy doubles. Pick something that you probably could do for like a 4 or a 5 rep max. Do very clean reps, for very very consistent doubles with short rest intervals, rather than doing like 3 sets of 12 to failure. That type of thing is totally possible. You could do it, but I feel like the high sets, low reps works very well for these types of movements for whatever reason. Personal preference. So that is a kettlebell windmill. We're going to come back next week and we're going to do a very similar movement called a kettlebell bent press, which kind of looks like a windmill, except there's a press added to it. So very similar. So be around next week and check that out. You can check us out. I'm Douglas E. Larson on Instagram. My name is Doug Larson, of course, host of the Barbell Shrugged podcast. Barbell Shrugged and all the rest of the shows that we have, they're all on the Shrugged Collective network, shruggedcollective.com. And then also we have the program Vault, where we have all of our online training programs. That is shruggedcollective.com/vault. We have 3 long-term training programs that last for over 18 months. You can stay on them as long as you want and switch from program to program as you see fit. And then we also have 8 shorter-term programs that are add-on programs. If you're doing 5 days a week at a regular gym and you want to just add more volume to your workouts, you can add Aerobic Monster, you can add My First Pull-Up program, you can add extra weightlifting. There's a Squat the House program for leg strength. There's all kinds of great stuff in there, so definitely check that out. It's called the Shrugged Collective Program Vault. You can go to shruggedcollective.com/vault. I'll see you next week.
Welcome to the Shrugged Collective Program Vault. Over the last 6 years, we've been leading the charge in online strength and conditioning programming and coaching. And for the first time in the history of the Shrugged Collective, we're combining our 11 best-selling long-term and short-term accessory programs into one membership site called the Program Vault. From Olympic weightlifting to strongman, leaning out, nutrition, you name it, our 11 best-selling programs are yours for $47 a month. Get to shruggedcollective.com/vault and you will find immediate access to our 11 best-selling strength and conditioning programs.